It was the first successful fox and cat proof fence built in Australia anyway, and probably the world. It was Australia's top tourist attraction. It was the only place in the world where you can go and see a bilby. It was the only place in the world where you could go and see bettongs.
John Walmsley is like a folk hero to these children, and his knowledge of the bush is seemingly bottomless.
I don't do what I can to save biodiversity. I can't sleep at night, but I couldn't give a stuff what people think of me. It was closed down because the federal government Department of Environment wanted it closed down because it was embarrassing them.
Everyone knows where we've been.
The whole concept was to close down John Walmsley's work, and they nearly succeeded.
Where we've been.
In those days, I think a lot of us still had hope that the new owners were going to take it forward, and there were signs of that. Unfortunately, they were developers, and they also had dollar signs in their eyes. The sanctuaries they took on had the scope for subdivision, and that's what they did with Warrawong. They cut off all the little bits and pieces that John had so painstakingly gathered from people around over the years. They hived those off and sold them off, and therefore reduced the size and therefore the viability, which was always going to be to the detriment of the plan to save wildlife, because wildlife needs space.
The people who did that in the name of conservation didn't understand conservation, and that's the problem of the world. It's no more so today than it's ever been, but conservation can only happen on large areas, and once we'd built it up to 80 acres, that should have been allowed to stay.
Well, ESLink in the end couldn't make a go of it, and it simply wasn't going to make money, so they sold it off to the toy factory people who unashamedly wanted to make money out of it, and that was the beginning of the end, because there was no concern at that point for integrity of habitats and the safety of the animal. I mean, the minute people stopped looking at the fence as being the key element was the minute it all started to go bad.
Well, we felt really sad when it was being sold off to the zoo, and that's probably a bit about our trust in the zoo to really have the core values of the place. So I guess that was the start of, Warrawong's not Warrawong anymore. I think I was probably more angry when the zoo started making up excuses like you can't have people here in fire danger, and school camps were shutting down, and all those things that had happened that, got large numbers of people engaged with Australian wildlife that had taken years to build could be shut down so quickly. That's really frustrating.
They were going through a very bad financial period themselves at that stage, so they had, their interests were pragmatic. If it doesn't pay, we can't have it. The government's a machine. It's a budget.
If there's something broken, you fix it, and this just didn't seem to be very broken, and it seemed to be a very viable thing, like an extremely viable thing. I guess I was quite shocked when I heard it was going to close. This shouldn't be happening. I think other people felt the same, so I saw the petition and I helped spread the word about the potential closure. I think there was something like 7,000 to 8,000 signatures. I attended the steps of Parliament when the petition was handed to the Parliament, and I honestly thought that a petition with 8,000 signatures tabled to Parliament would have had more reaction from politicians.
Government was never going to support it. Those of us who really knew were feeling pretty resigned to that. Really, it was easier not to think about it too much.
For me, it was this belief that the government was essentially dropping it, because it seemed to be, from my point of view, the last thing that I would drop.
I think there was an underestimation of just what impact Warrawong had had. I still have people coming up to me saying Warrawong changed their life. They came here when they were a child, went down, had the experience. changed a lot of lives for the better.
After the storm, I'll be gone. And if you said, if you sing in the saddest song,
I thought it was really nice because I love it here. And all the stuff and all the plants.
I used to come here weekly with my daughter. The first time she ever said the word koala was here at Warrawong. So there was a koala just out here in that tree just there. And she looked up and she said wala. And it was one of her first words. And so I think somehow she was learning quicker because she was here. Quite a special moment. And again, that's the great thing about the environment. It's more than just the things you see day to day. It's about the way the environment teaches us, and we have to learn to respect that more.
They have lots of wildlife and what you'd usually have in the jungle. And they keep lots of animals. Turtle! There's the turtle!
People stop me in the street and say, I got married there, or you took me on a walk there 30 years ago, or whatever. And certainly something resonated, otherwise they wouldn't have remembered.
We were looking around and thinking, where's a special place for us to get married? And at the time, you know, the standard thing was still to get married in a church, which wasn't going to work for us. So a piece of Australian land that was special, that we felt connected to, this was it.
Yeah, somewhere else that was sacred to us.
Yeah. We were the first wedding here. I don't think they'd even thought about it as a wedding venue. The restaurant and all the infrastructure didn't exist. So we just got married down by the lake.
Brilliant, brilliant. What kind of day was it?
Stinking hot. I think it was 38
It was about
degrees.
38. We had CFS sirens going off. Yes. Our poor old grandmothers had to be
wheelchaired down to the lake.
down and then four-wheel drive out.
Yeah, there were some logistics that we worked out. We had four-wheel drives as wedding cars to get us down to the lake. And but that was all part of the fun, really. Part of making it us.
Mm.
We did have an esky and beers in the rainforest. I remember that, yeah. I remember just as we were announced, the kookaburras went nuts.
That's right. Yeah.
Everyone laughed. That was fun. Yeah. Hi.
We're about to be upstage.
We didn't have emu.
Don't have anything for you.
We didn't have emu at the time. We came on a tour of Warrawong, so we were thirsty to learn, I guess. The more we hung around him, the more we could learn about the different types of smaller plants and smaller animals and the way that ecosystems kind of work together. We learnt a lot on those trips.
Yeah, at night they often said it. Often if it comes into the red. There's several. Yeah. There's a family. They had young this year, and there was at least 3 babies wandering around for a while. But they come into the restaurant at night sometimes. Yeah.
A very eccentric character, and I think he thrives in that eccentricity. And he's someone you want on your side. You know.
For sure. He does not suffer fools.
See, my whole aim is to keep expanding Warrawong till it's the whole of Australia. People think we're building different sanctuaries all over Australia. We're not.
Now, do you believe more could have been done? Of course, the Adelaide Hills Council seem to have had some influence on it. What about what the Zoo of South Australia could have done?
The Adelaide Zoo runs at a loss and Monarto Zoo runs at a loss, and so I don't really see the problem with Warrawong running at a loss from their point of view.
Adelaide Zoo paid the Chinese $10 million to borrow 2 black and white bears to show off down there at the zoo.
When my daughter was about 3, I took her to the zoo to see the pandas, and she really didn't care. To be 100% honest, she just kind of looked at them and went, yes, they're big bears. I've seen lots of bears. They're sitting there kind of doing nothing. And they are captivating to some children, but my daughter was just much more captivated by a koala or potentially seeing a platypus. So she would sit and wait with me for maybe 15 minutes waiting to see a platypus, but she didn't spend 15 minutes waiting to see the pandas.
South Australians have bid farewell to one of our most loved native wildlife parks. Warrawong Sanctuary has just closed its gates for the last time after entertaining visitors for almost 3 decades.
We are absolutely devastated. I think it's such a unique thing.
It's sad, and that's why we came today, because it was the last day.
Founded in 1969 by crusader Dr. John Wamsley, Warrawong was home to more than 100 native animals. They'll now be transferred to Monarto or Adelaide Zoo, making memories of being among the last through the gates.
I feel pretty sad because it's fun, yeah. You can like feed the kangaroos and stuff, and it's going to be sad they can't come here anymore.
Hello, I'm David.
I'm Narelle, this is Bear, and we've sold everything we own to travel across the country and save a piece of Australia's conservation history.
Seriously, we have. I just come home and my stuff's missing. She's been on Mandurah buy and sell again.
That is true. I've sold everything he owns except for his own foods. And if I could get $5 for them, I would have sold them too.
Nobody's going to buy them. Where's my tractor?
Probably the easiest answer about why we're here, how we got here, is because Narelle wanted to. It's like happy wife, happy life. I'm not stupid.
Oh, well, it all actually stemmed from Bronte, who's our head zookeeper back in WA. So Bronte's an Adelaide girl. Bronte's desk is behind me, and I was on my computer and this email came up from Bronte saying, oh, by the way, Warrawong's for sale. Very short and sweet. And I was like, what's Warrawong? So she sent me the link to the for sale ad. And I literally jumped out of my chair. I was like, whoa, what is this place? This looks amazing. And she's like, oh, I went to school camp there. It's a wildlife sanctuary in the Adelaide Hills. It's stunning, and it's for sale.
And you think, you know what, let's jump on a plane. So we just flew over here, parked in the car park, met the real estate agent. By the time we'd gone about 30 metres, which is all it takes to get from the car park into the cafe, there were these beautiful stone walls, polished wooden floorboards, railway sleepers for the reception. There was a floor-to-ceiling stone fireplace. Don't need to see the other 27 acres. We love it.
Fell in love. Like, what's not to love? Yeah, it was just our mission to make it happen. Packed up the kids and the dog, and it was a big move, it really was a big move. The kids were excited, but I was actually heartbroken the second we got here. We went out onto the decking, and I was so proud. I was like, this is what we've bought. And the kids' faces just dropped, and I think it was Britt looked at me and said, you made us pack up our lives in WA for this. And I was like, what? And Josh's like, oh, Mum, it's a dump. So, of course, being teenage, they just saw the mess because this place has been sitting here for 5 years. Oh, my God.
Kitchen needs refurbishing.
Ugh. Oh, Jesus. Oh! Dead mouse. That is disgusting.
We found some dead birds in the fireplace.
Oh, check this out. That is a well-fed rat.
In the nicest way. It is a real pigsty. Oh my God, Brute.
I'd say that's a pillow, and that is a rat's been nesting in it.
The list is a mile long.
It needs a really good paint.
We need an exorcist to bless this building.
Rip up carpet.
Ooh, yummy.
The doors don't close properly.
Weatherboard, plasterboard, the ceilings have got holes in them. So our drinking water filters through 4 years of possum poo, and then somehow or another,
We don't know about the lighting system.
whatever all of that means.
See the trees hitting the tank? If that cracks the tank, well, that's our water source gone.
It's a massive challenge because there's just so much to do. We got the roots growing up onto the paths.
The conference centre, Portuguese millipedes everywhere. The cafe, oh my God, look at these. Oh wow, how dangerous.
Wow. So it's going to need a bit more than just a vacuum and a mop. We moved from WA to this.
Yeah, there's a bit of work to do.
Why did we buy Warrawong?
I wanted a sanctuary. The sanctuary itself needs a heck of a lot of work. Where it was almost daily, you'd hear a tree come down. And it's like, oh my God. And, you know, they're massive trees. You know, they're 50, 60, 70 metres in the air and they just crash down and then, oh, well, there's a week's work cleaning it up, get the chainsaw out, and, you know, poor old David's probably sick of loading up firewood. There's weeds everywhere, and so, yeah, it was quite hard, like, seeing that the kids obviously didn't see our vision. Yeah, there was times where I have to admit I thought, wow, have we bitten off more than we can chew, because David and I do tend to, you know, dive into things and just, you know, we are kind of risk takers. It's a 20-year plan. It's not something that we envisage being finished in a couple of years. I think it's just endless, like a place like this. It's a big project, but I just fell in love with this place. I'm prepared to do the hard yards.
I guess leaving Peel Zoo was easier for me than for Narelle, because she literally built the place with her own bare hands and credit card. And because of that, she's very emotionally attached.
You know, having started the zoo from scratch, you know, from the ground up, you know, literally like digging holes and putting fences up and all of those things, and just looking back at the hard work I'd done, it was really difficult to kind of leave it all behind. So when, you know, having arrived, it was like, oh, I miss the animals, like, you know, having such a close relationship with them, and the place just looks barren. And, you know, I appreciate that Zoos SA took as many animals as they could because there would be nobody here. But they did leave a few wallabies that obviously they couldn't catch. But yeah, we really need to work on stocking up the sanctuary again. You know, we had a bit of a chat about what animals we could bring over here. That sort of meant something to me. You know, initially we brought over Cookie, so he's a sulphur-crested cockatoo, and he just loves me. I don't know why. Even David says, you're not that special. I don't know why he likes you so much, but he just does. Yeah, he likes to cuddle, he likes to play, I can just do anything with him. I don't know what it is, he just trusts me with his life. So we've got quite a special bond, yeah. We got some little rescue ringtails from Cleveland. Oh, they're just beautiful. So we had 4 little ringtails. We also were lucky enough to acquire some KI kangaroos from Cleveland, and they were quite small when we got them. I mean, they were fully weaned, but still young enough that we didn't want to just release them out into the sanctuary until we'd sort of kept our eye on them. So we took them up to what we call our little nursery area, which is a lovely little area at the top of the property. They're certainly, you know, getting quite accustomed to being around people, which is nice. Oh my God, Jon Snow, he's probably the most famous snake in Australia, I reckon. So he's a carpet python, but he's this beautiful yellow and white colour and super friendly. When we released Potoroos into the garden, little Harry got thrown from the pouch. But he was crying and looking for mum, and so we thought, okay, well, we're going to have to take him and hand raise him. And so we had him around Bear. We thought it'd be nice if Bear could learn to, you know, be comfortable around animals. He's a character. He's not scared of Bear. In fact, he would try and burrow into Bear's fur. Harry would go underneath Bear and try and dig in as if he had a pouch.
It was only through doing research, because I'd heard of the cat hat guy years and years and years ago, didn't really think much of it, but then when we found out about this place, it took a while for the penny to drop, and then all of a sudden when you realised that you were buying Dr. John Wamsley's Warrawong Sanctuary, you just feel this huge responsibility. Like there's a legacy that comes with this place. So you're not only buying a sanctuary, you're also buying a significant part of Australia's conservation history. So there's pressure on you to succeed. You don't want to undermine all of the work that they've done, but you also want to be able to do things your own way. So we just wanted to reach out and say that, you know, we felt that we'd be doing a good job and that the door would always be open to them.
From the point of time that we left, we had no contact with the new owners, ES Link. We had no contact with the next owners, the Millers, and we had no contact with the zoo. And then the place was closed for 3 years, and then suddenly John gets this email, "G'day, I'm David. We've just bought Warrawong. Do you want to talk to us?" And it was just like, wow, it was so nice.
Well, I thought it was wonderful. I thought this might be serious, because the people that had it after us before weren't serious about conservation. They were serious about making money and closing down Warrawong. So here we had a couple who were serious about bringing back Warrawong's previous glory, and I offered them my full cooperation and help, because it can be done, it can be brought back, it can make money, it can be South Australia's top tourist attraction again. The public servants will be very upset, but it can be done.
The local community have been so accepting and supporting of us. Like even the other week we went down to the Mylor Primary School annual bonfire, and it was just brilliant. Like a couple of thousand locals from the area, having a chance to talk to them, people who've been married here, again, people who've done school camps here, people who used to come up all the time. Everybody has a Warrawong story. You really feel loved, you feel welcomed. It's an honour to be here, and you know, to carry on Warrawong Sanctuary, because it does seem to be the people's sanctuary. I have this naive belief that people will just come out of the woodwork to help. What an amazing day. We checked the registrations for the Busy Bee this morning. There were 380 people who put their name down to come and help us at Warrawong. And what a great spirit! Just beautiful people. Like Warrawong attracts good people. You know, I just enjoyed talking to people and just like working side by side with them. Oh, so nice to have John and Prue here today. Hello!
How's it going?
How are you going? What a good day!
Oh, right up you.
We're all waiting for you.
You're coming.
There's a passing of the baton, like, you know, the people of Australia owe them. Warrawong is an institution. We're lucky to have it. We're lucky that somebody had the bravery and the vision to start this place in the first place. So now we pick up the baton and we run with it.
I'd say in reality a year. We'd like to open sooner, but I think at least a year. It's a mammoth task. It's going to take some time. No one said it was going to be this hard.
I just think Narelle and David are just incredibly game. To take on a place after the storms that we had a couple of years ago, and after being vacant for 3 years, is an incredible job. I just hope they survive it, to be quite honest.
The Warrawong Wildlife Sanctuary, which is an institution in South Australia, unfortunately has been closed for around 5 years. It reopens this weekend. So this is a massive weekend, isn't it, guys?
Oh, yeah.
Very cool.
To be honest, we're not even close to being ready to open, but at some point you just have to make a decision. You've got to pick a day, you've got to set yourself a goal, and you've just got to go for it. And so that's what we've done.
And really, we want to restore it to its prime and then just add our personalities on top.
I'm so excited. I remember camping here when I was little, and just coming back up and seeing it come back to life is just brilliant, yeah.
So we were like basking in the glory of having just reopened Warrawong, and then we made the most awful discovery, the worst possible scenario you could possibly imagine.